Hello, good evening from Tower Bridge, where, despite the downpours, thousands have turned out to witness the Diamond Jubilee Pageant, the biggest spectacle on the Thames for over 300 years. Vessels of every shape and size, a flotilla 7 miles long, completed the voyage down the river to this point. Well, the Queen and her family took pride of place on the royal barge, the Spirit of Chartwell, cheered on by those lining the banks. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell has our first report.
It is the river which has been at the heart of the nation's life since London was created. And today the Thames provided the setting for this tribute to the nation's monarch. The Queen has seen many spectacular sights in the 60 years of her reign, but never anything quite such as this on the Thames. A flotilla of 1,000 vessels, led on their 7-mile passage downriver by man-powered boats. The flagship, Gloriana, being helped on its way by the Olympic multi-gold medalist Sir Steve Redgrave, and following along behind, gondoliers from Venice and Maori canoeists from New Zealand. The Queen was aboard a river cruiser transformed for the occasion into a royal barge. Watching the pageant with her, Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge and Prince Harry. Other members of the royal family were on other vessels. Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, with their father, the Duke of York. Also afloat on the river, the Middleton family, mother and father, and Kate's sister Pippa. Slowly, the flotilla swept downriver, navigating river currents which can often be difficult and dangerous, past the Houses of Parliament and the London Eye. Behind the man-powered vessels came boats of all shapes and sizes with all sorts of cargoes. Among them, some of the Dunkirk little ships with their echoes of service and self-sacrifice from the Second World War. And then something you wouldn't really expect to see on the Thames, a horse. A wooden puppet horse, to be precise, from the award-winning play War Horse on the roof of the National Theatre. Not surprisingly, this was something that caught the Queen's eye. By now, the man-powered vessels were approaching Tower Bridge. The royal barge was making its way rather carefully under the Millennium Footbridge. It seemed rather a tight squeeze as the vessel headed on downriver.
It's taken nearly 3 years to plan all of this. The weather hasn't really cooperated. The rain is coming down fairly steadily now. But in a funny kind of a way, it's made the whole event even more British.
People, quite simply, carried on regardless.
You know, we're British, we queue in the rain from 6 o'clock in the morning and we stand here watching thousands of ships go by, and just to support our Queen and say thank you for being an amazing, amazing monarch. Yeah.
Votes, not votes! Votes, not votes!
Offering a contrary view, a group of anti-monarchists, about 100 of them gathered by City Hall to express their opposition to the monarchy. By now the weather had really closed in. The hundreds of thousands who'd lined the Thames to show their support and express their gratitude were getting drenched. But there was a pageant to conclude, and it was finale time. It hadn't quite been the show that it might have been. The weather had put paid to that. But the warmth and sentiment that was evident along the River Thames had been very real. The pageant kept calm and carried on. And for once, it wasn't just Elizabeth II who reigned over us. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News, at Tower Bridge.
Well, London's Battersea Park is just one of the venues where crowds have gathered to join in the celebrations. Hundreds of people queued in the rain this morning to get in, and Lorna Gordon was with them as they tried to catch a glimpse of the Queen.
They queued from early, and when the gates opened, first a trickle, then a rush of people keen to secure the best views. chairs and blankets marking their spots.
This is my third one. I've done the silver, I've done the gold, we're on the diamond. So we're waiting for another good 10 years and we'll do the next one.
We all admire the Queen, so 60 years in the same job, it deserves to be rewarded.
Along the Thames, the banks and bridges taken over, and then a sea of waving flags when the Queen came into sight, and cheers.
It's really cool because seeing all of the gold and all of the guns and that, it made it look really cool.
This is the first royal occasion I've been to. I think it must have taken about 60 years to plan. It's incredible, incredible tribute. Such an effort that everyone's gone to.
In places, the crowd was 10 deep. People grabbing any vantage point they could as the boats began to appear.
We've got sort of a 3-day plan.
Yeah.
We're going to make the most of everything. We're going to go to Buckingham on Tuesday. We want to see it all.
When I saw the Queen, I felt so excited. It's like I've never seen this before. It was quite exciting to see her in the driver's seat of the boat. It's really quite good, yeah.
Telescopes, periscopes and cameras capturing this historic river pageant. And for those not able to get close to the water, there were other ways of joining in.
Well, the Queen has now passed, but there are still hundreds of boats to go, and every single one of those boats gets a cheer.
The crowd enthusiastic, good-natured and patriotic. An outpouring of affection along this famous and familiar river, lined with people joining together to salute the Queen. Lorna Gordon, BBC News, Battersea Park.
Well, the celebrations, not just here in London, many thousands are holding their own street parties across the country. There have been over 9,500 road closure applications submitted for England and Wales alone. And our correspondent Chris Buckler reports from a big Jubilee lunch in North Yorkshire.
Across the UK, it had been planned that this day of celebration would bring a nation and neighbours together. But to mark the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, people had to battle another great British tradition: the summer weather.
I'm so glad that people have been put off by the rain. People have been baking for weeks by the looks of it, and they've really taken on the red, white and blue thing.
60 years ago in Albion Avenue in York, they held a street party to celebrate the coronation. Sylvia and Michael Fillingham were among the crowd then. And 6 decades on, they were back in the same place in honour of the same monarch.
Coming out today and seeing what's gone on in the whole country, I just think it just tells people what we are and what we do in Britain.
Here, as in so many streets across the country, there was an open invitation. This event about the community as well as the monarchy.
So what do you think they're making of this party? Are they enjoying it?
I think they're having a blast. I think they look like they're really enjoying it. I think they're a little bit wet maybe, but...
People went out of their way to make this day feel special. This pub in Leicestershire was relaunched as a ship in tribute to Her Majesty. But big lunches planned for some streets were threatened by the weather. Not that it stopped the festivities here in Birmingham, they just moved them indoors.
We decided yesterday at 2 o'clock that the weather was going to be awful and we needed to move in from the street to the house. And unfortunately it is my house, and here we are.
Others made similar decisions. In Anglesey, what was to have been a beach party was held instead in the village hall. Although the sun did shine in some places, including parts of Scotland, where the tables were laid out for people to come together over a good Jubilee lunch.
There have been quite a few odd sights, but in town centres, villages and individual streets, people have gone to a huge effort to prepare for today. And the flags may have got wet, but that didn't dampen the atmosphere.
People will be watching the forecast, however, because the long weekend of events has only begun. Chris Buckler, BBC News, York.
Well, our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell joins me now, and Nick, given what they were up against, I guess it couldn't have gone much better.
Yeah, shame about the weather, it has to be said. It really took the edge off it at the end there. The Queen gave a look just as she was leaving. She got up and she just looked up at the heavens, and it kind of said it all. What rotten luck, or possibly even something pithier than that. No fly past because of the weather. The finale had to be cut short. But the main event went very smoothly. It will perhaps have reminded her of her coronation day 59 years ago yesterday, also conducted in the pouring rain. But I think, although she looked rather cold at times, I thought, she, I'm sure, will have been warmed by the enthusiasm of the crowds. Tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, I would imagine, all the way along this 7-mile stretch of the river, waiting in the rain, and a real sense of people wanting to express their gratitude and their feelings towards her for what she's done. So I'm sure that she will have gone home encouraged, enthused perhaps by that, and the weather forecast, I think, is better for tomorrow and Tuesday. I hope so, anyway.
You can bet blazing sunshine by Wednesday at any rate. Nick Witchell, thanks very much. So there you have it, a peculiarly British kind of success. The organisation and execution faultless, if only they'd been able to outsource the weather to the pageant master too. But in her 60 years reign, let's be honest, the Queen has probably witnessed worse weather, but never before a spectacle of quite this magnitude in her honour. Hello, good evening from Tower Bridge, where despite the downpours, thousands have turned out to witness the Diamond Jubilee Pageant, the biggest spectacle on the Thames for over 300 years. Vessels of every shape and size, a flotilla 7 miles long, completed the voyage down the river to this point. Well, the Queen and her family took pride of place on the royal barge, the Spirit of Chartwell, cheered on by those lining.
The Queen was aboard a river cruiser transformed for the occasion into a royal barge. Watching the pageant with her, Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge and Prince Harry. Other members of the royal family were on other vessels. Princess Beatrice and Eugenie with their father, the Duke of York. Also afloat on
the banks. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell has our first report.
It is the river which has been at the heart of the nation's life since London was created. And today the Thames provided the setting for this tribute to the nation's monarch. The Queen has seen many spectacular sights in the 60 years of her reign, but never anything quite such as this on the Thames. A flotilla of 1,000 vessels, led on their 7-mile passage downriver by man-powered boats. The flagship, Gloriana, being helped on its way by the Olympic multi-gold medalist Sir Steve Redgrave, and following along behind, gondoliers from Venice and Maori canoeists from New Zealand. On the river, the Middleton family, mother and father, and Kate's sister Pippa. Slowly, the flotilla swept downriver, navigating river currents which can often be difficult and dangerous, past the Houses of Parliament and the London Eye.